I'm gonna show you guys how to, I already did one side here, got new hubs, rotors, ignore the rust spot there, the rotor surface is still fine. I got new brakes, everything for the front end. So let's get into it. Let me show you how to take apart. To take these off, you're gonna use a T20. I have the 5 bolt hub, whereas on the other, there's other models that have a 3 bolt. So it's a T20 to get these out. So let me get that out. All right, so I have a camera set up. Let me see if I can do this good for you guys. So T20, oops. Just knock these out real quick. Mess, so, you know, probably not a bad idea. So to get this off now, we're going to take some needle nose pliers, and there's a little ring right here. So this comes out, just like this little thing on the hubs here. This comes out, and then there's this gasket. We don't need that. Let's see. And I don't, yeah. So, very true. Oh, there we go. All right, so you push those in, just needed a different one. Oh, there's the whole assembly. All right, so it just comes out. All right, next, there's a little C-clip in here. So when you get that, it's right in here. I usually just one finger on one side, boom. There's a little C-clip. This has to be done. Don't forget to take this out first, or else you're gonna be pissed at yourself. All right, and then there's a little spacer that runs on the splines. This guy. Now, I'm not reusing this or the C-clip because I have worn manual hubs that are going in. So I'm gonna put those aside and not have to worry about them again. Now, you do need, there's a special tool they need to get the axle nut off. This one is the high torque one. The part number is, I got this at O'Reilly's, not sponsored or anything, but it's PTW1271. Don't use an impact on it, and it just has these little channels right here that fit right in, just like that, and then you break it loose. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Oh, need to sit up. Let's get some torque on it. I'm gonna go down on my hub here. There we go. Just like that. You don't need a lot of torque to get it out. And then you can see it just unthreads. So this comes out, and we will be reusing this with the manual hub. So I'm gonna put this aside. And then there's a special washer in here. There we go. Come on. There it is. Here's this washer. Now it has this little, clean it off here. It has this little groove right here, and it fits on a track inside of here. So there's only one way it can go. The tricky part is this next nut, and I'm gonna explain that here in a second once I get this other nut off. All right, we're gonna go back to our breaker bar and special socket. I don't like that angle. There it is. What? No, just had it. There we go. There. And it doesn't take a lot of force. So don't think you need a wrench on it real hard. This guy comes out. It's pretty dirty, but the reason I wanted to bring that up, there's a little pin on the preload nut that matches up with the holes here, so this can sit flush. I'll show you again when I go to do the reassembly, but this is very important that you don't lose this. Now, if you do lose it, like I broke the other, when I did the other side, I did break it, so it was $2 at O'Reilly's, but it's fairly cheap. And that's it on the hub. Now we take the caliper off, and then this whole assembly comes off. Now I'm also replacing the rotor and the studs, because I have brand new studs, so replacing those as well. So let me get the caliper off now. To get this little pin out, move the camera over here so you can see. Again, that one's gone. So in order to get this out, I just use an extension up against it with a hammer, and it works pretty good. So I'm gonna move the camera back over so I have some room here. There we go. Apparently I couldn't get it from the back, or from the front side, so the back side worked. Ooh. That whole thing shifted. Okay, easy boy. You know what? Pro tip, do this last. Do the caliper first, because this is already annoying. But hey, we're definitely not mechanics. Throw this up in here right now. These pads still have good meat. I don't think the front's been breaking. So that's also why I'm replacing the calipers, because my pedal is really, really mushy. So then we just pull this off, and then voila, you have the spindle. So I'm gonna get some brake clean in here. Oh, that's sweet. Who knows what you found. Now this truck, my Bronco here, sat in a field for like 13 years. So I'm gonna clean this up and inspect the spindle, make sure it's fine. It looks good. So let me get some brake clean, and I'm gonna clean this all up real quick. So what I'm doing over here is we have our hydraulic press, good old Harbor Freight press. And what I'm gonna do is I need to press these studs out. So I'm gonna do that right now. All right, yeah. Perfect, okay. Already going. Butter. So now that we got the studs out, this whole hub assembly comes off the rotor, and we're not using the rotor anymore, so we're gonna start working on this guy. All right, so what we're gonna do now, we're gonna start taking this apart. There is a seal here, and I have a new one. Right, Zach, you didn't want to be in this video. Let me just do this video, okay? Over here shit talking. So here's what the new seal looks like. Here's the old one. So we're gonna get this out. The tools we're gonna use is, I use this to start a hole, and then I run it around it with the hammer and a flathead screwdriver to just pop the seal off. To show you the old versus the new studs, so this is the, obviously the old stud. Now it doesn't have this little tip on the tip, so it's still fine. I also have brand new lug nuts just in case. So I'm gonna throw these aside over here, because we're going to be using these in a set with our new rotor. So let me get started on knocking this out. So like I said, I start with this. All right, now once I get this little divot started, then I work with the screwdriver in the seal here. And then I'll just go around the seal, around the whole thing. All right, so the seal is out, and we're not using this again, so I guess I'll just throw it right there. And ugh, yummy. We're not gonna be using that again. Now in here, there are two, you know what, let me clean this up real quick. All right, so I cleaned up the inside a little bit. Now we got to get the bearing races, these guys, hammered out because we're putting new ones in. So I'm gonna hammer these out real quick, and then how I'm gonna do that is I'm taking our extension again, flat side against the inside, and just sitting it up, and then taking the hammer to it. We just kind of work around. Oh, one more good hit. There it is. So I got the inner one hammered out. I'm gonna flip this around and get the one, this one right here. You hit it out from the outside here. So same process. All right. So that's the other one. Put those over here. We're not using those. Trash. And yeah, so I'm gonna clean up the inside a little bit better now with a little bit more brake clean, make sure it's all nice and shiny. And we're gonna take this over to the wire wheel and grind off all the surface rust on it. So the camera just died halfway through recording, but I got the surface all cleaned up, and I also got the sides here all cleaned up. You don't have to do that, but I did it just in, you know, just so I know it was put together, cleaned it up a little bit. So now I have these new bearings over here. Here's one, and here's the other. So I got to pack the bearings now, and then I'll set the races. Actually, I'm going to set the races first and then pack the bearings so I can put it all together, and then we'll put our seal back in. So let's do that real quick. At this point, I'm going to put the bearing races in here. So this is what it looks like, and they come out. Now I want to show you guys something here. There's two different model numbers on these. The box is the same SKU, but there's two different model numbers. This one is 3011. This is the bigger one, so this doesn't fit in here. This one will go into the back here, and then the smaller one, this guy, goes on the inside here. Let me open this up. Also, you can tell on the bottom, the one with A35, that goes on the inner, that's the inner bearing, and then the A37 is the outer bearing. So I'll unwrap it here. And they seal it in a way where the race is separate from the bearing. That's pretty cool that they do that. But you'll notice the model number on this one is 1310, and this is the one that goes on the inside. So I'm gonna put that first, and then we're gonna get to work on packing the bearings with our high temp grease. So I'm gonna set this in here. All right, now we're gonna just give it a couple smacks and set it in. All right, so to pack the bearings, I got this Master Pro grease, high temp disc brake, wheel bearing grease. So we're gonna take that. I'm gonna put it on the ground because yesterday it flew off and caused a huge mess. So put this on the ground for packing. Now what I usually do, let me grab one of my bearings here. So here's the bearing that we're gonna pack. I usually have one and then scoop it. You guys should, y'all should know how to pack bearings. If you don't, let me show you. So I'll take 2 fingers here, just dump it right on my glove. Now you notice I put gloves on. I hate dealing with grease without gloves. So then I just grab it with this hand and just go through it. And we'll keep packing. You'll notice that it starts coming out the top. That's what we want. So then I just keep going. All right, now we're gonna start putting this together. Basically, we're gonna do the back bearing first, which is this one. We're gonna throw it in here and then put our seal on, and then we'll put the other one in, and then we'll go back over to the spindle. So this just drops in like so, and that way it's all nice. Now what I also like to do is I'm gonna take a little bit more grease. I know I just took my gloves off, but I'm gonna take a little bit more grease just on this inner side right here, just so there's just an extra little lube. This is probably way too much grease, I don't know, but I'd rather, it's all packed in there nice and good. Now I'm gonna take my cloth and wipe off the excess around the outside. All right, so put the lid back on this before it gets everywhere, which it already is. And now we're gonna take our seal, and just goes right here, and our trusty hammer. Perfect. wipe it off the inside of the hub here. I'm gonna leave that grease there, just so it can go on the spindle for some extra lubrication. And then we'll flip this around, and then we'll put the other one in. Actually, before I put the other one in, we're gonna go over to our press again and press the studs in place. So let's go do that. Little pro tip, we put a speaker magnet right here. It holds the bar. I just put the studs that I'm gonna be pushing in, but that way it's easy to get, and we have easy access to getting the handle when we're operating the press. All right, so on these rotors here, it does have some rust right here. These sat in my storage since I first got the Bronco. I just haven't got around to do them. The rotors are still fine. I'm gonna take some brake clean it off, but this is no big deal. So the way these press in is from the underneath. So I'm gonna turn this around, have it sit on here like this. And then I have this plate here. So what the plate's gonna do, I'm gonna take this socket, and the socket's gonna rest right up underneath. So as I'm pushing down the stud, so let me grab a stud. Here, I'll show you. So, oh, it's not lined up. So I'm gonna rotate, boom. So I'm gonna take my stud, throw it in the hole. It'll seat itself like that, because there's already grooves from before. And then I'm gonna position it under the press where it can just push this in. And then this is here so that the whole assembly here doesn't fall over. You can see it just driving into there. Almost. And it starts getting hard, so then I stop. That's funny. Alright, and we'll let off the pressure. Now I don't go all the way out. I'm gonna leave it like that. And what I'm gonna do, put this back in there. So I'm gonna back the camera away here. Basically, I'm gonna rotate the rotor and the whole assembly where this falls out, and then I set it up again for the next stud. So we'll take it, it plops in, it seats itself because of those already existing, and then get that lined up just right. That way. All right, and then again, get a closer angle. And you're gonna hear this pop. There it is. All right. And then we're gonna, again, rotate. That falls out. Reset it for the next hole. All right. Now that I got the hub on and it is seated all the way up, next is to start reassembling this. So, oh, I need the bearing. All right, now that I got the hub on, I'm gonna put the bearing in. This is the inner bearing. All right. Now, we start threading these nuts on in place. The first nut you're gonna do is, there's two of them. It's the one that we talked about this earlier. It has a nut, or it has a little nub here. This one goes in like this. So we're gonna get this one threaded on. And again, I just spin these on by hand. I'm gonna go over to our specialized socket. Now I'm not gonna torque it with the extension, I'm just something to hold on to. All right, that seems pretty firm. So now we're gonna grab our torque wrench. And we're gonna set it to 50 pounds. All right, there's 50 pounds. Now to back it off, I'm not gonna use the torque wrench, I'm gonna use my breaker bar. There we go. I'm gonna do 45 degrees. Okay. Turn that by hand. Now we're gonna take this washer that we have and go on any way. I like to do the hard side towards the back. So we're gonna slide it in. There's little grooves that it slides in. Now the thing on this is it slides on, but it also has to match up with the hole. So this part is a bit tedious because it's a lot of pull it in, take it out, put it in, take it out. You know how that goes. All right, so where's the nut? All right, so we need to loosen, or where are we at here? Yeah, loosen just a little bit to have, so that hole lines up in there. And to do that, I just put my wrench on it. Money, perfect. So that lined right up inside there. So now we go this one. Now this one takes 120 foot-pounds of torque to lock on. So we're gonna hand tighten this one on here. All right, now 120 foot-pounds of torque. So normally with this, we'd be putting back our spacer. Oh, it's got shit all over it. We'd be putting our spacer back on those splines and then our C-clip. But I have upgraded hubs. What I got are these worn manual locking hubs because the automatic ones just suck. So we're gonna be installing these real quick. It comes with the screws for the cap and then also this snap ring. Now you're gonna need snap ring pliers to put it on there. So basically what we're gonna do, you just slide this in. Money, just like that. And then grab your needle nose pliers just to make sure that the axles are all the way out. We're gonna load snap ring in place, and there's also this retaining thingy, I don't remember the name, but that gets pushed in there like so, and that's it. The hub is done. Now we're gonna move on to the brakes, but before we do that, now we're gonna install this guy. All right, so that's now on. Now let's test the engagement. So we're gonna turn the hubs on, or lock the hubs. It's kind of a long twist, and now, yee! Beautiful. They're over there welding. Unlock. We'll go back over here. Nothing. Beauty. All right, and that's pretty much hub install. Now if you want to keep watching, I'm also doing the rotors and brake line, or I'm sorry, the calipers and brake lines, but this is where we're ending for as far as the hub install.